Hey guys, welcome to the Homestead. Today I'm going to give you three tips to grow great tomatoes. Every year I get lots of emails from people who say, you know, Zach, I just don't have a green thumb. I just don't do well with tomatoes. And so, what can I do to help, get a better crop of tomatoes? And there's three things I'm going to tell you to do that I would suggest that will give you a good crop of tomatoes. The first tip, very simple. It's a tip I give out every year. We repeat it often in our videos, and I repeat it a lot of times in my podcast that we do on Saturday night, and that is to make sure you grow more than you know you're going to need. If you grow 4 tomato plants and you lose 3 of them to pest or disease or whatever, you've lost 75% of your crop. But if you grow 2 plants and you lose 1 tomato plant, you've lost half your crop. So but if you grow 10 plants, or if you grow, like in our case, we grow every year about 50 plants is what we shoot for, 50 or more. And if I lose 10 plants, it's okay. I still have 40 other plants that are going to produce for me. Expect that you're going to lose some to disease. You're going to lose some to pest pressures, whether it's aphids or tomato hornworms or whatever. You're going to lose some. And so if you plan on that and you plant more than you know you're going to need, you're going to come out on top. And then if you have more than you need, if all your plants do amazingly well that year, you have some to share with neighbors and friends and family or whatever. But you're always going to have enough for you to sustain yourself and family. So that's my first tip. Always grow more than you know you're going to need. The second tip I'm going to tell you is to try and grow plants, and this is where it's going to vary a little bit, try to grow plants that are good for your area. It took us about 3 years of experimenting with different types of heirloom tomatoes before we found a tomato that we find that grows remarkably well in this area. And it's by talking to people. Find people in your area, other gardeners, and say, hey, people in your neighborhood, and say, hey, what are you growing for tomatoes every year? What works for you? And see what works for them. For us, it was the Arkansas Traveler. It's a great tomato for the Ozarks. It works well with the high humidity and high heat. It's pretty much pest resistant, although there are varieties that are more pest resistant, but when it comes to heat and humidity, this does amazingly well. And so the Arkansas Traveler is what we grow here in the Ozarks. If you're living in a neighborhood and you don't have somebody that you can talk to who is a gardener, go to a local nursery and see what they tell you. They'll be happy. Say, go to the nursery and tell them that you're looking for an heirloom type tomato, and what do you recommend? And I'm sure they'll be happy to tell you and share with you what will work well for it, because they'll know. I mean, that's their business to know. Try to stay away from non-heirloom varieties, from hybrids, things like that. Try to find an heirloom variety. And if you don't have a gardener in your area or someone you trust who's been doing this for a while, then find a nursery. There's lots of organic nurseries nowadays who will be more than happy to help you. You can always do research on the internet. So tip number 1, always grow more than you need. Tip number 2, grow a tomato that works well in your area, that has a proven successful track record. My third and final tip, okay, and this is going to be, you can find different ways of making this, but my third and final tip is to have some super juice on hand, some super juice. And I'm going to show you today how you make super juice. So come with me. First thing I'm going to do is come over here and hook up my hose. This is the hose that comes underground from our outhouse over there, all the water tanks where the water runs off, and there's a pipe buried over here that comes to our garden. So I'm going to hook up my hose. This is gravity fed water, just natural rainwater. And what I'm about to show you has worked really well for us. I'm going to turn it on. Just follow the hose wherever it goes. Oh, here it is. I'm going to take the water. See, I've got the hose right there. I'm going to take the end of this watering hose, go outside my garden here. I'm going to put it inside this barrel. Oops. I need to fill this barrel up because I've been using my super juice. This is my super juice. I have 2 barrels, each with super juice. And I've been doing this for the last 3 years now. And just go find, a couple or even one 55-gallon barrel, plastic barrel at your local trash dump or somewhere. and fill it up with water. And then what you do is you go out and you find any of a dozen or 2 dozen, there's lots of them out there, hundreds of organic tea recipes. The super teas, the growth teas, the compost teas, all of those teas, you know, there's lots of great natural organic ones you can get, recipes, you can make them yourself, and then put the recipe inside your barrel. And the other thing I put in my barrel is fish protein. It's protein powder, fish protein powder. I put in each of these barrels, I put a half a bag. So I bought a pound bag, 1 pound bag of fish protein powder. I bought ours at, what's the name of it? It's Boogie Brew, boogiebrew.net. And I also use their compost teas. And I bought a bunch of it and I put it in there last year, a half a bag in each, so 1 full bag for both of these. And what I do is I just fill up these barrels, and then I have a little water spout that I dip it in there, get the super juice, because it's just been sitting in there and rotten and just fermenting on its own, producing this amazing amount of nutrient, you know, liquid. And I put that on my tomatoes. And folks, I'm telling you, man, the growth is second to none. When I was growing up in my neighborhood, there was a guy who went fishing an awful lot, and he was a big bass fisherman. And I would love to go over and watch him clean his fish when he came home from his fishing trips, because his whole boat would be filled with all these, you know, in the little fish traps inside the boat. He'd pull all these fish out and he'd clean them, and I'd watch him do this, and that's how I learned to clean fish. And then, as he was doing that, he would take the guts, you know, the remains, you know, the leftovers of the fish, and he would put those in his garden. And he would get amazing, remarkable growth from his garden. I learned early on, you know, he told me, he said, you know, this is the best way to grow a garden is to put your fish remains inside your garden. You just bury it. And he'd take a shovel out there and turn over some ground and then put the fish remains and then turn the ground back over on top of the fish. And he said he got remarkable growth out of it. And as I was growing up, I saw his garden was amazing, an amazing production. Well, today you can do that if you're not a fisherman. You can go out and you can get some fish protein powder, which is just basically ground up fish that's been turned into a powder, and it's just all natural. There's no chemicals in it. It's just ground up fish, you know, fish products. And they put that on. You can get organic variety. All the stuff at Boogie Brew is 100% organic, no chemicals. So it's not farm-raised fish that have been fed a bunch of junk. They're sourcing their stuff from good places that are going to be healthy for your ground, okay? So find this fish protein powder. It's called Pure Proteins, the brand I use, or there's lots of other ones out there. Make sure it's an organic variety, and then make some super juice. And man, I'm telling you, that is one thing to really up the nutrient levels in your ground. I have found it works amazingly well since I've been using it for the last couple years. 3 years I've been using this now, so works great. Make some super juice. That's tip number 3. Make some super juice. You're gonna love it. Your plants are gonna love it, and you're gonna love the results. So there you go. There's my 3 tips. And if you notice, it's starting to rain here. The raindrops are coming down. It's much needed rain, so looking forward to that. Wow, the storms are coming. Clouds are coming. I gotta get the camera back inside, but I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Check out this list of amazing folks. These are our patrons. They make all of our videos possible. We couldn't do what we do here on the Homestead without them, so thank you very much. If you want more information, you can go to patreon.com/AnAmericanHomestead. Other than that, like, subscribe, check us out on Steam It. We're over at Steam It. A lot of you guys over there are joining us, so really appreciate that, and are enjoying the community that's being built over there. Check out the videos on the left, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on American Homestead. Starting to rain.